The rain hammered against the cracked pavement, turning the city street into a blurry watercolor of neon reflections. Streetlights flickered like hesitant stars, casting long shadows that danced with each gust of wind. In the distance, the low rumble of thunder echoed, but closer, there was only the steady patter of water on empty sidewalks. A lone figure hurried along, umbrella clutched tight, her footsteps quick and deliberate against the chill. She paused at the crosswalk, waiting for the light that never seemed to change fast enough. The world felt abandoned at this hour, late shift over, the bus missed by minutes. Then, a sound cut through the downpour. A muffled sob, raw and broken, coming from the alley just ahead. It wasn't loud, but in the quiet storm it pierced like a shard of glass. Everyone else had rushed by, heads down, oblivious or unwilling. But she froze, umbrella tilting as rain soaked her sleeve. The sob came again, quieter now, almost swallowed by the weather. No one was watching. No cars, no pedestrians, just the endless curtain of rain. Her name was Elena, a single mom in her mid-30s, with calloused hands from years behind the counter at the corner diner. She wiped tables, poured coffee, and smiled through the exhaustion that clung to her like a second skin. Tonight, her feet ached from the double shift, and all she wanted was to get home to her daughter, Mia, who was probably already asleep under the quilt Elena had sewn last winter. But that sound, it tugged at something deep, a thread she couldn't ignore. She stepped into the alley, the umbrella's canopy narrowing her world to a dim circle. There, against the brick wall slick with moisture, sat a young woman, no older than 20, curled up with her knees to her chest. Her clothes were drenched, hair matted, and she rocked slightly as if trying to will the cold away. A backpack lay beside her, zipper half open, spilling a few crumpled papers into a puddle. Elena hesitated, the rain drumming louder on her umbrella. She could walk away, pretend she hadn't heard. The city was full of stories like this, and she had her own burdens. Mia's school fees piling up, the rent notice taped to the door. But the girl's shoulders shook with another sob, and Elena's heart twisted. Without a word, she extended the umbrella over her, shielding them both from the worst of the storm. "Hey," Elena said softly, crouching down. Her voice was steady, the kind honed from calming fussy customers and soothing Mia's nightmares. "You okay? Looks like you've been out here a while." The girl looked up, eyes wide and red-rimmed, mascara streaked like war paint. She wiped her face with a trembling hand. "I'm fine, just waiting for the rain to stop." Her words were clipped, defensive, but her voice cracked on the last syllable. Elena nodded, not pushing. She glanced around, the alley empty, the world indifferent. No cameras, no witnesses, just two strangers in the rain. She shrugged off her coat, the one with the frayed cuffs she'd meant to mend, and draped it over the girl's shoulders. It was warm from her body heat, smelling faintly of diner grease and lavender soap. "Here," Elena murmured. "Can't have you freezing out here." The girl clutched the coat, surprise flickering across her face. "Why? You don't even know me." Elena smiled faintly, rain dripping from her hair now. "Freezing out, yo. Doesn't matter. Cold's cold." She sat down beside her on the damp curb, umbrella balanced awkwardly between them. The act felt simple, instinctive, like flipping a pancake or tucking Mia in. No fanfare, just humanity bridging the gap. As minutes ticked by, the girl, her name was Sarah, began to talk. Halting at first, then in a rush. She'd come to the city for a job interview, fresh out of community college, dreaming of a fresh start. But the bus fare ate her last dollars, the interview bombed, and her phone died hours ago. No friends here, no family to call. The rain had trapped her, turning embarrassment into despair. Elena listened, nodding occasionally, her own wet shirt clinging uncomfortably. She thought of Mia, waiting at home with the neighbor babysitting. Time was slipping away, but so was Sarah's resolve. The risk settled in. Elena wasn't naive. The city had its dangers. What if this was a setup? What if helping pulled her into something messy? But looking at Sarah's hunched form, the doubt faded. Kindness wasn't about guarantees. It was about the moment. "Listen," Elena said finally, standing up. Her legs protested, but she ignored them. "My place isn't far. You can charge your phone, dry off. Call whoever you need. No strings." Sarah blinked, hesitation warring with relief. "I don't want to impose." "Really, you're not." Elena held out a hand, helping her up. The backpack sloshed as Sarah slung it over her shoulder. They walked together, umbrella shared, footsteps sinking in the rain. The street felt less empty now, the thunder a distant grumble. Mia's door was cracked open, the babysitter, Mrs. Lopez from next door, dozing on the couch with a book in her lap. Elena paid her quietly, then led Sarah inside. The space was small but lived in, toys scattered on the rug, a pot of soup cooling on the stove from earlier. Mia stirred in her room but didn't wake. Elena plugged in Sarah's phone, handed her a towel and dry clothes, oversized sweatpants, and a hoodie from her drawer. Bathrooms there. Help yourself to soup if you're hungry. Sarah disappeared, and Elena busied herself making tea, the kettle's whistle cutting the quiet. Tension lingered. What if Sarah needed more than a charge? Medical help? Elena wasn't equipped for crises, her own life a careful balance of shifts and scrimping. But as Sarah emerged, hair towel dried and color returning to her cheeks, the weight eased. They sat at the kitchen table, steam rising from mugs. Sarah called her sister back home, voice steadying as plans formed, a wire transfer for a bus ticket, apologies exchanged. Elena sipped her tea, saying little, just being there. The clock ticked past midnight, but the conversation flowed. Sarah's dreams of graphic design, Elena's stories of Mia's school plays. Laughter crept in, soft and unexpected. By 1 a.m., Sarah's ride was arranged. A cousin in a nearby suburb alerted via the charged phone. Elena walked her to the door, the rain now a gentle drizzle outside. "Thank you," Sarah said, handing back the coat. Her eyes shone, not with tears, but something warmer. "I don't know what I would have done." Elena shrugged, a small smile. "You'd have figured it out, but I'm glad I was there." They hugged briefly, awkward but genuine. Sarah stepped into the night, backpack secure, and Elena watched until the taillights faded. The door clicked shut, and the apartment felt fuller somehow, even in its silence. Days blurred into weeks. Elena returned to her routine. Diner shifts, Mia's homework, the occasional splurge on ice cream. She didn't think much about that night. Life moved on, bills demanded attention. But one afternoon, as she wiped down the counter, a package arrived at the diner, addressed to her. Inside was a sketchbook, pages filled with vibrant drawings, city streets in rain, a mother and daughter laughing, an umbrella shared in the storm. A note tucked in, "For the kindness when no one was watching, you saved more than my night." Elena traced the lines, a lump in her throat. Mia peeked over, eyes wide. "Mom, that's us." "Yeah, kiddo, it is." Elena hung one drawing on the fridge that evening. A quiet reminder amid the magnets and grocery lists. Months later, on a crisp fall day, Elena walked the same street, leaves crunching underfoot. The alley looked different in sunlight, bricks dry, no shadows lurking. She paused, remembering the sob, the choice. Kindness, she realized, wasn't a grand gesture. It was the unseen thread weaving lives together. And in that moment, with the world bustling around her, Elena smiled. Some acts echo forever, even when whispered in the rain. If stories like this remind you of the quiet power in all of us, hit subscribe. Let's keep sharing these moments of heart in a world that often feels cold. Remember, kindness doesn't need an audience. It's the unseen acts that warm the soul and connect us as humans. What's a small kindness you've given or received? Share below. Your story might inspire someone today.